Let's now talk about interest. I'm going to talk about simple on this video, but let's talk about simple and compounded all together. Interest is something that we kind of, is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? Well, it always depends which side you are in. If you are investing money and they paying you interest, well, most people are pretty happy with that. If you are borrowing money and they charge you interest, most people are not terribly happy with having to pay interest. But if you really think about it, paying interest is a good thing. And I mean, it's a good thing because if you were not allowed to pay interest, then they wouldn't lend you the money in the first place. So you would have nothing at all. So even though it kind of sucks to pay a little bit more, thanks to the fact that we can pay a little more, we have access to a lot more money. And that I'm sure you can think it's a good thing. So what is this simple interest and this compound interest? Let's go for simple first. This handout is on the lesson, so you can kind of copy it. The formula to calculate simple interest is I equals PRT. I stands for interest in money. P stands for principal, the amount of money that you put down, and those is in money. R is the interest rate. We use that in decimal. So with 5%, it's 0.05. And T is the number of time periods. Now, that's the part you got to be careful with. If they give you the annual interest rate, T is the number of years. If they give you the number of months that you're going to leave the money in there, you got to make sure that your interest rate is per month, not per year. They need to be connected. So in this example here, how much interest will you get if you invest $2,000 at 4.5% for 10 years? Well, the P is 2,000. The interest rate is 4.5%. That's 0.045. And 10 years, because that's pretty, oh yeah. See that A, that slash A over there? So slash A means per annum, and that means per year. Pretty much all the interest rates I'm going to give you in this lesson are going to be per year, so it's going to have all the slash A. So when you plug in your calculator, you get that it's $900. How much money will you have in the end? Well, you're going to have $2,900. But how much interest did you make? $900. Good? Okay. So simple interest is the interest that is calculated only on the initial amount. What do we mean by this? Well, if you invest $3,000 in a 4-year GIC, GIC is a guaranteed investment certificate. Doesn't really matter, but it's basically something that is not going to fluctuate with the market. It's a promise. You leave it there for years, I will pay you 5.5 per year every year, no matter what happens with the market. So the calculations are a little easier because things don't fluctuate. It's always the same. So how do we calculate this? Okay. 3,000 times 0.055 times 1, because only 1 year's gone by, that's 165. So therefore, we get altogether 3165. That makes sense. On year number 2, the calculation is the same, because it's 3,000 times 0.055 times 1. 1 because it's 1 extra year that it's there. Even though it's the second year, it's there for 1 year, so they pay us 165. So basically every year they pay us 165, 165, 165. So we don't have to repeat it. We just know it's going to be 165 every time. And altogether, at the end, we're going to have 336.60. How much interest did we make altogether? Well, if we put down 3,000, we end up with 36.60. 660 is the interest that we made by itself. So the two kind of questions is like, how much interest will you get and how much will you get in total? All right, so that's basically simple interest. Simple interest doesn't really appear in real life. Simple interest is a thing that we're going to use it to understand compounded interest, which is really the big deal about this. All right, so simple interest. It pays the same amount of interest every time because it's based on the original amount, on the initial amount. Because they pay the same amount, we can see that if we graph it, it ends up being a linear function. And I equals PRT, as we learned from last unit, that's going to give us just like y to the 1 and x to the 1. So it's definitely a linear function.